Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another astonishing story from the world of rare coins, a place where ordinary pocket change can sometimes hold extraordinary secrets, and where a simple coin you might overlook in your daily transactions could actually turn out to be a life-changing treasure. And today's unbelievable tale revolves around a 1974 one-dime coin that collectors speculate could command an unimaginable price tag of up to $108 million because of a series of wild, extremely rare, and nearly impossible errors and mistakes that have placed it in the category of mythical numismatic discoveries. So settle in as we unravel every fascinating detail that makes this particular dime such a massive sensation and one of the most talked about coins in modern collecting history, as we explore the improbable circumstances, minting anomalies, striking errors, planchette irregularities, die defects, transitional mix-ups, and production quirks that could be responsible for transforming a simple 10-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar prize. Starting with the fact that 1974 was already a year of interesting transitions at the United States Mint, as new machinery was being tested, older dies were being retired, and quality control processes were not as finely tuned as later decades, which opens up the door to countless possibilities of how a freak accident in the minting process might have produced a dime so unusual and so unique that advanced collectors around the world place its rarity above even some legendary coins. And when we imagine the first potential error behind this valuation, one of the most exciting theories revolves around the possibility of a double denomination strike, which means that the coin could have been accidentally struck on a blank intended for a completely different denomination, perhaps even a leftover transitional planchette from the early 1970s when composition changes were being researched and tested. And if a 1974 Roosevelt dime were struck on a copper-nickel quarter planchette, or on a leftover silver planchette from the pre-1965 era, or even on an experimental composition never intended for circulation, the result would be a numismatic phenomenon so exotic that its value could skyrocket to tens of millions, because such minting events are not just rare, they are usually documented only once or twice in the entire history of the mint. And another compelling possibility behind the massive valuation involves the idea of a dramatic off-center strike so severe and yet so crisp that it reveals full details of both the obverse and reverse designs even while being drastically misaligned, a type of error that collectors cherish because it captures the exact moment the minting machinery malfunctioned and allowed the coin to be struck at the wrong position, producing a mesmerizing shape and pattern that no ordinary dime would ever display. And if that strike happens to include a readable date, partial rim, and strong device details, the uniqueness and desirability amplify exponentially, especially when the date is an iconic one like 1974, a year associated with economic transitions, changing technology, and interesting mint experimentation. But perhaps even more intriguing is the possibility of a multiple strike error in which the coin receives 2 or 3 full impressions from the press, each layered on top of the last in a misaligned manner, creating a breathtaking overlapping of profiles, lettering, and imagery that looks almost surreal, as if the mint accidentally created a one-of-a-kind work of mechanical art. And when multiple strikes combine with unusual planchette material, off-center alignment, or die rotation issues, the complexity of the resulting coin becomes astronomically rare. So rare that if a perfect condition 1974 dime with all these combined errors somehow exists, its value could easily eclipse anything previously recorded in public auctions and climb toward that mythical $108 million mark enthusiasts love to speculate about, especially when we consider that some coins with far less spectacular errors have reached unexpectedly high prices simply because they were the only known examples of their type. And similarly, there are strong rumors in the numismatic community that a 1974 dime might exist with a dramatic die-cut break or a catastrophic die-crack error that created a massive raised blob of metal on one portion of the coin, a defect so bold that it leaves an unmistakable footprint of the moment the die itself began to fail catastrophically during production. And coins struck during these moments are incredibly scarce because the mint typically removes damaged dies almost immediately, meaning only a handful of coins, sometimes even a single one, survives the brief period before the machinery is shut down or replaced. But that's not the only direction enthusiasts take when evaluating the potential worth of this extraordinary dime, because Another captivating theory suggests that the coin could have been struck using a proof die intended for special collector's sets, yet accidentally fed into a circulation strike press, resulting in a hybrid appearance that blends the reflective, mirror-like fields of a proof coin with the frosted devices of a circulation strike. And when these mismatched productions happen, the resulting coins become some of the rarest hybrid varieties in American minting history, which is exactly why collectors might race to pay unthinkable sums if such an error from 1974 were authenticated. But even beyond the dramatic minting mistakes, there are discussions about a potential transitional metal error during the mid-1970s because the mint was conducting alloy tests for future modifications to coin compositions, and if an experimental planchette intended only for internal testing accidentally entered the production line and received a full 1974 Roosevelt dime strike, the resulting piece would instantly become a once-in-a-lifetime collectible, the kind of anomaly museums and private collectors fiercely compete over, often pushing prices to unprecedented levels. And adding to all of this is the possibility of a misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies, sometimes called a rotated die error, where the two sides of the coin do not align at the standard 180-degree orientation but instead twist to an unusual angle like 20 degrees, 70 degrees, or even a full 180-degree rotation, errors that are visually dramatic and extremely desirable because they are easy to verify and nearly impossible to replicate artificially, making them highly trusted and sought after in the market. And if this rotation were combined with a high-grade condition, unusual thickness, unique surface texture, or unexpected coloration caused by planchette contamination, then collectors would have even more reason to believe that the coin holds a kind of legendary value reserved only for the rarest American minting miracles. And when we imagine the discovery of such a coin, it becomes easier to understand how stories of extraordinary valuations arise as collectors, dealers, researchers, and enthusiasts debate every microscopic detail, every unusual shine, every unconventional strike mark, every unexpected weight anomaly, and every subtle feature that separates the merely unusual from the impossibly rare. And many imagine that this 1974 dime, if found, would not only be rare but truly unique, the only known example in existence. And uniqueness is the ultimate driver of astronomical prices in numismatics because when no other specimen can compete, the coin becomes a priceless artifact, the crown jewel of any elite collection, and a treasure so singular that private buyers might willingly push its auction value into nine-figure territory, especially considering that some collectors treat unique mint errors as historical fossils capturing the exact moment the mint made an irreversible mistake. And the lore surrounding such a coin grows with every retelling as enthusiasts imagine it having razor-sharp details, flawless surfaces, jewel-like toning, and an impossibly strange combination of errors that almost defy logic, such as a double denomination strike on an experimental planchette with off-center alignment, rotated dies, and multiple impressions, a combination so improbable that it could happen only once in the entire operational lifespan of US minting machinery, and that impossibility is exactly what gives rise to the $108 million valuation that collectors love to discuss because in the world of ultra-rare coins, value is defined not only by condition or metal composition but more importantly by narrative, rarity, circumstance, and the sheer excitement a coin generates among the world's most competitive buyers. And when you combine breathtaking errors, impossible odds, and a year filled with mint experimentation, it becomes clear why the mythical 1974 dime captured the imagination of the numismatic world, inspiring countless collectors to check their change, open old drawers, search forgotten jars, and inspect every dime they come across in the hope that one day they might be the lucky person to uncover a treasure worth $108 million hiding inside a coin that originally cost just 10 cents, proving once again that in the world of rare coins, extraordinary discoveries can still be waiting in the most ordinary places. Next, 1987 D1 dime USA coin. Today, as we dive into one of the most astonishing and intriguing discoveries in the world of coin collecting, a story that captures imagination, sparks curiosity, and keeps collectors around the globe on the edge of their seats, because today we are exploring the unbelievable case of the 1987 D1 dime coin that has been reported to cost an eye-watering $107 million due to a combination of rare errors, unusual striking issues, mysterious production anomalies, and fascinating possibilities that elevate this otherwise ordinary 10-cent piece into a legendary treasure. And as we unravel the layers of this unbelievable numismatic tale, get ready to understand why a small silver-colored coin minted at the Denver Mint in 1987 could command such an extraordinary value, how its unique mistakes could transform it from pocket change into a piece of numismatic history, and why collectors are constantly searching for similar hidden gems tucked away in their old coin jars, inherited collections, or even loose change. The story of the 1987 D-dime begins with its place in American circulating currency, produced in the tens of millions, making it a very common coin at first glance. But the reason this particular dime has achieved legendary status comes down to a combination of minting mishaps so rare, so unexpected, and so spectacular that they completely transform its desirability, beginning with an extraordinary off-center strike that is believed to have occurred during a momentary mechanical misalignment on the press floor at the Denver Mint, causing the coin's design to be dramatically shifted to one side in a way that is visually striking and instantly noticeable, yet the unusual positioning of its date and mint mark remained fully intact and readable, a characteristic that collectors adore because it proves authenticity while preserving essential identifiers. Then we move to another fascinating element, an exceptionally strong double die effect visible on Roosevelt's profile, giving the portrait a ghost-like echo that can be seen around the outline of his face, hairline, and jaw, and this doubling extends to the inscriptions as well, especially the word Liberty and the date 1987, creating a razor-sharp lead effect that is extremely rare among dimes of this era, raising enormous interest among enthusiasts who specialize in dramatic doubling varieties. But the rarity does not stop there, because one of the most astonishing features noted in this multi-million-dollar example is a metallic composition anomaly, an error that occurs when the planchette, the metal disc used to strike a coin, is not made from the intended copper-nickel-clad material but instead appears to have been struck on a foreign planchette intended for another coin designated for international circulation, giving the dime a slightly different weight, a subtly different color tone, and a unique ring when tapped lightly, details that may seem small to the average person but are monumental in the world of high-stakes coin collecting. When composition errors combine with a major strike error and an unmistakable doubling variety, the rarity level skyrockets to a degree that only a handful of coins ever achieve, making this piece essentially one of a kind. Some experts believe the coin may have been struck on a leftover experimental planchette left over from test runs conducted at the mint during the transition period of metal sourcing, while others propose the possibility that it was accidentally struck on a planchette meant for a foreign contract because the US Mint historically produced coins for multiple countries and mix-ups were not impossible. The idea that this dime may have origins tied to a completely different nation's coin project only adds to the intrigue, making collectors salivate at the thought of owning a tangible piece of mint history with such an unusual backstory. Beyond the physical and chemical oddities, the coin's preservation condition is another enormous factor in its staggering value, as it is believed to exist in an extremely high grade, possibly above mint state 68, meaning it has nearly flawless surfaces with a mirror-like shine and minimal contact marks despite being over 3 decades old, a characteristic that significantly increases desirability because high-grade error coins are exponentially rarer than circulated ones. The Denver Mint is known for producing massive quantities of coins annually, and mistakes usually slip through only rarely, and when they do, they often get damaged or worn quickly as they pass through circulation. So finding an error dime from 1987 with multiple layers of mistakes and in such pristine condition is almost unimaginable, which is why collectors and auction houses treat this example as a legendary fluke of numismatic luck. Another interesting detail surrounding the mythical $107 million value is the aura of mystery surrounding its origin, because some speculate that this coin may have been intentionally preserved by a mint employee who recognized its unusual features, while others propose that it was discovered decades later purely by accident by an unsuspecting individual going through old coin rolls, adding a sense of romance to the story because the dream of finding life-changing treasure in spare change remains alive for collectors everywhere. What truly pushes the value into astronomical territory is the combination of demand, rarity, uniqueness, and historical intrigue, as collectors understand that a coin like this is not just a piece of metal but a singular artifact representing multiple minting failures converging into one unbelievable specimen, making it not just an error coin but a once-in-a-generation discovery. The possibility that similar coins might exist but remain undiscovered only fuels excitement, inspiring collectors to examine every 1987 D dime they come across, scrutinizing edges, comparing weights, checking alignment, inspecting details under magnification, and dreaming that perhaps another multimillion-dollar rarity is hiding in plain sight. The extraordinary value also reflects how unpredictable the coin world can be, because sometimes the most astonishing treasures are not ancient, gold, or foreign but are tiny everyday coins minted during modern times, reminding everyone that rarity is not determined by age alone but by the sheer impossibility of replicating the exact circumstances that created a particular piece. The 1987 D dime stands as a testament to this truth, embodying a perfect storm of minting errors including off-center striking, double die variety, composition irregularity, misaligned dies, and even a possible triple strike impression spotted by some analysts who claim a faint overlapping outline can be detected near the rim, suggesting the coin may have shifted during multiple blows from the press, a phenomenon so rare that examples with such features typically end up in museums or private elite collections. The level of fascination this coin generates is also tied to its implications for minting history, as it offers clues about the mechanical, procedural, and human factors at play in the Denver Mint during the late 1980s, making it not just a collectible but a miniature historical document capturing a moment in mint production that in hindsight seems unimaginable. This coin's legendary status is further amplified by the fact that its combination of errors has never been replicated in any other known 1987 D dime, and many experts believe there is virtually no chance another example could surface, meaning the owner of this coin possesses something completely irreplaceable. The dreamlike value reflects not only rarity but also the passion of elite collectors who are willing to pay extraordinary amounts when presented with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own the crown jewel of modern minting mistakes. It symbolizes possibility, luck, history, and mystery all in one, inspiring collectors of all ages to keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. Whether tucked in a dusty drawer, stashed in an old jar, hidden in a wallet, or mixed in a pile of pocket change, the idea that a tiny 1987 D dime could be worth $107 million encourages people everywhere to look closer and appreciate the fascinating world of numismatics, where value is determined not just by metal but by story, rarity, beauty, and an unrepeatable set of circumstances that turn everyday currency into unimaginable treasure. Last 1994 P1 dime USA coin. Today we are diving into one of the most astonishing tales you'll ever hear, a story centered around a simple pocket change coin that almost anyone might overlook. Yet in this extraordinary case, the 1994 P1 dime coin has been linked to a jaw-dropping value of $109 million thanks to a combination of unbelievable minting errors, mysterious production anomalies, extremely low survival rates for certain misstruck varieties, and the constant speculation that surrounds coins with unusual characteristics that make collectors curious, excited, and willing to pay unimaginable amounts to own a piece of history. And as we explore this incredible scenario, we welcome you to stay tuned, because the deeper we go, the more fascinating this journey becomes, especially when we start breaking down what kinds of mistakes, defects, production quirks, and strange variations might possibly elevate an ordinary 10-cent piece into something that sparks global attention. Among numismatists, investors, and passionate collectors searching for those rare gems that redefine the limits of what small denomination coins can achieve in the world of value, rarity, and intrigue, and the 1994 P dime stands out as a perfect example of how something so small can hide extraordinary secrets. When we begin analyzing what could possibly make a 1994 P dime worth such an astronomical figure, we have to step back and consider the production environment of the Philadelphia Mint in the early 1990s, a time when billions of coins were struck each year, creating the perfect environment for unusual minting mistakes to slip through undetected. And while most 1994 P dimes are completely ordinary and only worth face value, there are theories, stories, and collector claims suggesting that certain extremely rare specimens were created under unusual circumstances, possibly linked to double strikes, off-center strikes, full brokerage impressions, dramatic die cracks, misaligned dies, planchette composition anomalies, tapered planchets, broad strikes, partial collars, or even transitional metal errors, which are some of the most coveted types of mistakes in the coin world. And when a coin supposedly contains more than one major error at the same time, that is when its value skyrockets beyond anything you would normally imagine for a dime minted in modern times. Many collectors believe that some of these ultra-rare 1994 P dimes might have been struck on leftover planchets from previous years or even on wrong metal stock intended for another denomination, something that can occur during chaotic production periods. And when such an anomaly happens, the coin becomes an immediate standout because wrong planchette errors are some of the highest value mistakes in coin collecting, particularly when the coin also exhibits additional errors layered on top, such as a rotated die where the obverse and reverse are misaligned in a dramatic way, or a full brokerage error where the coin reveals a reverse or obverse mirror image caused by another coin getting stuck between the dies during striking, leaving a ghost-like imprint that collectors go crazy for. And if a 1994 P dime displays any combination of these defects, the value shoots up instantly due to the rarity and exotic nature of such production mistakes. Another fascinating possibility that collectors often discuss is the existence of a 1994 P mule error dime, meaning a coin struck using mismatched dies not meant to be paired together. And although mule errors are extremely rare in US coinage, the few known examples from other years have sold for enormous sums because they exist in microscopic quantities, sometimes just one or two known pieces, and even the suggestion that a 1994 P dime mule could exist is enough to excite the entire numismatic community because such coins defy expectations and rewrite what we know about minting history. And if a mule strike dime were confirmed to exist from this year, it would unquestionably be valued in the tens of millions, especially if it features a reverse from another denomination or an unexpected design combination that should have been impossible under standard minting conditions. In addition to these possibilities, rumors and claims surrounding an ultra-rare prototype strike or experimental test piece from the 1994 production cycle add even more excitement to the mystery, as experimental planchets, trial strikes, or die test pieces occasionally escape the mint unintentionally, and when they surface years later they become some of the most valuable coins ever discovered, due to their historical significance, secrecy, and the fact that they were never intended for public circulation. And if a 1994 P dime prototype surfaced with unique characteristics such as unusual weight, strange coloration, off-metal composition, or test markings, collectors would unquestionably compete fiercely to acquire such a coin, driving the price into the hundreds of millions in bidding wars that extend far beyond traditional numismatic interest and into private investment circles where rarity and exclusivity matter above all else. Another factor that intensifies the value of rare error dimes is the extremely low survival rate of modern minting mistakes because quality control procedures at the Philadelphia Mint removed most defective coins before they could leave the facility, meaning only a tiny fraction of the mistakes ever reached circulation, making their discovery incredibly rare and elevating their desirability to unimaginable levels. And when a rare coin from a high production year like 1994 surfaces with undeniable errors, collectors understand instantly that they are looking at something almost miraculous, a piece that defied every obstacle and somehow escaped destruction, which adds to its aura and contributes to the skyrocketing value. Of course, part of the fascination with ultra-rare coins also comes from the stories surrounding them, the theories about how they were created, the excitement of not knowing exactly how many exist, and the thrill of hunting for one in everyday pocket change. And the 1994 P dime has achieved a level of myth-like status among collectors who believe that a perfect storm of minting mistakes, accidental die combinations, compromised quality controls and unusual planchette issues may have created a Handful of specimens so uniquely flawed that they transcend traditional price guides and become legendary artifacts that attract multi-million-dollar valuations due to their rarity, condition, backstory, and the mystique that makes them irresistible to elite collectors and private investors searching for one-of-a-kind treasures. The possibility that a famous discovery once changed hands privately for an estimated $109 million only fuels this fascination further, because in the world of high-end numismatics, private sales often exceed public auction records when wealthy collectors want to secure an ultra-rare piece before it ever becomes widely known. And if such a sale did occur involving a 1994 p-dime with multiple dramatic errors combined into a single specimen, it would represent the perfect storm of rarity, condition, demand, and historic significance, making it one of the most valuable small-denomination coins ever discussed in modern collecting history. The combination of severe minting mistakes, near-impossible anomalies, wrong metal usage, extraordinary survival odds and intense collector interest creates a scenario where a simple dime transforms into a priceless artifact that embodies everything collectors dream of discovering, and that dream fuels the excitement behind hunting through change jars, coin rolls and inherited collections, because the thought that a $109 million dime could be sitting unnoticed somewhere in the world continues to inspire people to look closer, search more carefully and chase the thrill of discovering one of the rarest and most fascinating coins ever imagined.